Hey everyone, Trevor Sigich here, Director of Retail Marketing at Worldwide Golf Shops. We are in the Ping putting studio right now. We have Jeff Thomas, the Ping Master Putter Fitter, and we have our production intern, Tegan. Tegan's a good player, but we're gonna take Tegan through a little bit of a putter fitting. My opinion, a lot of people don't really take the time to get fit for a putter. And obviously you know the importance when it comes to this entire process and what it truly means.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't have much else to say beyond that, but let's just kind of get started. And I want you to kind of take the reins and take Tegan through this.
Perfect. How tall are you?
6'1".
6'1", perfect. Have you used Iping before?
I've not.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna take a wrist to floor measurement. If you just can stand up nice and tall for me and just let your arms hang naturally to the side.
So every single bit of data that you're entering into the Iping system is basically building the characteristics for Tegan.
Correct, yeah.
Right?
So you can see here and within Iping in the guided fit section, we can kind of go through, ask you some questions in terms of miss tendency, all that kind of stuff. But what I just did with your height and your wrist to floor, so you're 6'1", your wrist to floor is 34 inches. So you statically fit into something right at 34.5 inches. So that's where we're gonna start. Again, that's just a starting point. So if you have a little bit more of a crouched over posture or a little bit more upright posture, we can tweak length if we need to.
Right.
But we're really just trying to get you in a nice comfortable posture with your eye position just slightly inside the ball. So let's start by giving you something that you statically fit into. And we can start by putting that ball just right on that red laser, and then we'll hit to 10 feet, that target, so acting like that's the hole. So in terms of speed and start line. Now, do you have a miss tendency at all when you putt? Do you miss left or right more often?
I have a tendency to push it a little bit.
Okay.
Kind of drag the face a little bit.
Okay. And what about speed control?
Typically, I'm going to leave it a little short.
A little short, if anything? Okay, perfect. All right, yeah, you can fire when ready.
What are some of the key things that you as a fitter you're looking for?
Yeah, so right now I'm just mainly focusing on length. So if you see up on the screen here, I'm looking at eye position, so you can see that your eye position is directly over the ball. So like you said, you want to stand up maybe a little bit taller, so we could try something about 35 inches.
Okay.
As long as your eye position doesn't change. So we'd like to really see it right over, it's slightly inside the golf ball.
Slightly inside. And if I go a little more straight up, that will bring me
potentially. So
inside.
yeah, we don't want to get too far inside where your intended target might like start looking a little bit more off to the right.
Right.
But yeah, right now this looks pretty good with, you have a nice straight line from your forearms down your shaft.
Beautiful.
Looks very, very comfortable, but let's just try 35 inches.
Okay. Right.
See if that feels a little bit more comfortable for you.
Yeah, I like how this feels a lot.
All right, I'll clip on Iping here. And we're just gonna hit 5 putts again to that same target. All right, very good. Like I said, eye line looks really good with that 35 inches, really didn't change that. So we can definitely go 35 inches if that feels a little bit more comfortable. Contact's still really good. But over here, so this is all your Iping data. So Iping is just all based off consistency. So everything in green would be consistent on your stroke, yellow would be moderate, and then red would be a little inconsistent. So we're measuring 5 categories in your stroke. So all your stroke metrics are gonna be the numbers in the white. Okay, great. And then each one of these categories has their own consistency score. So this overall consistency score of plus 2.7, that's on the same scale as like an actual handicap. So very, very good. Right around tour average is plus 3, plus 3.5. So this first metric that we're looking at would be your closing angle. So we fit for 3 categories of putters. So straight arc would be face balance, slide arc would have a little bit of toe hang, strong arc are gonna have a lot of toe hang. So we're gonna really wanna try to match up a putter to kind of that amount of face rotation that you're applying to it. Right. So for what this number is here, this 5 degrees, that's just measuring your face rotation from the start of the downswing back to impact. Okay. So you do have a little bit of rotation. Now you can see that you fit right in the middle of the bell curve in terms of face rotation. So something with a little bit of toe hang, like an answer style that hangs about 40 degrees is gonna be a really good fit for you. We can also look at miss tendency too. So if you had a miss tendency, say a little bit more off to the left, typically with a putter that has a little bit of toe hang, it's always going to be delivered a little bit more open than something more face balanced. So if it's more off to the left, we could look at putters that have a little bit more toe hang. If it's more off to the right, going something a little bit more face balanced is just going to help you square it up a little bit better. So, but you are kind of, like I said, right in that middle of the bell curve. So slide arc is going to be a good option to look at for you.
Okay, cool.
And you can see plus 3.8, very consistent with that kind of amount of force and torque you're applying to the putter. So looks really good there. Next category would be your impact angle. So this negative 0.3, that's just a relative measurement from where you are at setup compared to where you are at impact with the face. So it's just really how you're aiming
Twisting
it.
this way.
Yeah,
Okay.
relative to setup.
Okay.
So this number here doesn't necessarily need to be right at 0. Everyone's going to aim a little bit different. Again, we're really trying to focus on consistency. So we've noticed, all the PGA Tour, LPGA Tour players that come in, this number could be a little bit open relative to the starting point or a little bit closed, but we're really trying to focus on this number here, that consistency. So each one of these blues dots represent one single putt. So we're trying to get that number, that dispersion nice and tight. So plus 2.7, very good. But what negative means for you is that you're slightly closed relative to your starting point. So maybe just a slight right aimer, but 0.3 is very, very minimal. So really from this distance, anything under a degree is still inside the hole. So very square and very consistent. So that's good. You kind of aim that style of putter nicely. And that's what we use to help fit for kind of alignment features, head shapes, kind of those characteristics of the putter. Tempo, so we have your overall stroke time, your backswing stroke time, and your forward swing stroke time. So this 2.0, that's just a time ratio from your backswing to your forward swing. So you do have a little bit of a slower overall stroke time, but your ratio is 2-to-1. This is what we use to help fit for head weight. So really want to match up a head weight, just the natural cadence of your stroke. So with that being said, you already mentioned that you like something a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
So with a kind of a slower stroke, something a little bit heavier is going to be a little bit more stable for you. And then if you had a tendency of kind of struggling with shorter putts inside 10 feet, something a little bit heavier is going to offer a lot of stability. If it's longer lag putts that you tend to struggle with, something more kind of traditional weighted is just going to give you a little bit more feel back in your stroke. So potentially look at something a little bit heavier for you is going to be a good option. Lie angle, so our standard lie angle would be 20 degrees. So you're showing 22.6, so it's just measuring this plane. Okay. So if you're more familiar with that 70-degree number, we're measuring it from the ground, this vertical angle, where 70 degrees is measuring it from the ground level up. So 70 and 20 would be that same lie angle. So you are showing just a touch flatter. You can see the toes just slightly up in the air. Yeah. Now you don't need to make an adjustment. We'll make the adjustment to the putter for you. But it's very, very consistent. So I don't want to go too flat where you're going to start making adjustments to that. So a lot of time better players will make adjustments. So if I give you something at 2.5 degrees flat, you might be used to seeing that toe just slightly up in the air. So you're going to start dropping your hands or scooting further away from it. So what we would do is we would start like maybe at 21, just 1 degree flat, do another Iping session, make sure that you don't make those adjustments, and then we could potentially go flatter if we need to. But I'd probably start about 1 degree flat for you.
Okay.
And then your last metric, so this plus 0.5, that's measuring this plane, so where your hands are at impact. So at impact, you have your hands just slightly back.
Backwards.
Only about a ½ degree. So we would like to see the dynamic loft, so the combination of this number and the loft of your putter to be around 3 degrees. Okay. So if you're playing on faster surfaces, potentially take a little bit of loft off. If it's slower or grainier surfaces, probably keeping you at 3 degrees of loft, because we err on a little bit more loft if you are playing on those slower surfaces. But very, very good, very consistent. Do you have any questions on that?
No, this is
so
great.
A really good model for you, I think, just based off all your stroke metrics, you fit really nicely into a blade style, but potentially something a little bit bigger, would be this model here. So this is our Answer 2D model. So it's that blade shape, but just a little bit wider bodied blade, and it's a little heavier. So this is at 360 grams, where your traditional Answer style is going to be 350. So what do you think of the look of that?
I mean, this is even better, actually. I really like how this looks. Is there any difference in the weight and the toe hang already, or is it pretty much
it's going to be the same amount of toe hang, again, about 40 degrees.
Okay.
So how it, there's not actually weight in the toe. It's all about how the shaft axis goes through the head.
Right, okay.
So this is going to go a little bit more into the heel, which is going to add a little bit of toe hang to it. If you take a double bend, you can see that this is a little bit higher.
Right.
So that same shaft axis is going to go right through the center of the head, which is going to make it face balanced. And then a really strong arc model like our cushion here, it's going to go really into the heel, which is going to have a lot of toe hang to it.
Right.
So yeah, this would be a really good fit for you, but we can give that one a try.
Now, Jeff, as you were going through some of these numbers right here, you kind of touched on it a little bit when you're talking about degrees.
Yeah.
Right? And to me, in the putting stroke, when you look at 1 degree and you have a 10-foot putt, that's a miss.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And so like when you're dealing with degrees like that, it makes it that much more important to go through this process.
For sure.
And actually
Yeah.
learn a little bit more about you as a putter.
Absolutely. And you know, these two numbers here, this closing angle and impact angle, are going to be the two most important. That's really going to affect start line. So we're really, you know, face rotation is really going to affect 90% of the start line, where pass is only going to affect about 10%. So these two numbers are very, very important. And like I said, lie angle, you know, we're trying to get you as level as possible, but like I said, better players will make those, you know, slight adjustments.
Sure.
So we're trying to kind of fit the putter to your natural tendencies, which should help out with your consistency.
Great. Okay, cool.
Oh, there you go. Got a little bit more consistent. So we went from a plus 2.7 to a plus 4.3 now. So very, very good. So what you can see here, I'll take this.
Yeah.
And I think the goal for you is to get on the leaderboard, right?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be great.
So through Iping, we can compare up to, you know, 4 different models. So what you see here, your first model that we used was that answer style. So again, plus 2.7, very, very consistent. Then we jumped up to plus 4.3, so very good there. So you can kind of look at your metrics to see kind of where you got a little bit more consistent. But one thing to keep in mind, these are going to be kind of your natural tendencies.
Right.
So they're not going to change much. We're just trying to fit a putter to get you a little bit more consistent. So you can see your rotation really hasn't changed. So you went from 5 to 5.2. Very, very consistent, improved a little bit. Again, we used a slide arc putter the first time. This is a slide arc putter that matches with that closing angle. So, you know, both are very, very consistent. One big jump, you're still a little close relative to that starting point, but plus 5.9 on your consistency score. So you aim this putter a little bit more consistent. Could be maybe because a little bit bigger head shape, a little bit longer line.
It's a little more friendly to me.
Yeah,
for sure,
exactly.
like
So, but still, you know, numbers really didn't change. You're still a little closed. Tempo didn't change, but going a little bit, because that slower, you know, stroke you had, going a little bit heavier,
felt
it
better.
just matched up a little bit better with that natural cadence. Lie angle really didn't change much. I would still start at 1 degree flat. And then that you were still pretty neutral. The biggest change is that you actually were a little bit more neutral at setup, and then, you know, keeping you at 3 degrees with that very neutral shaft lean is going to produce the best launch angle, best spin rate, which then we can look at Quintic numbers and say, look at your launch angle, look at your spin rate, look at your side spin. That's just really fine tuning Quintic based off of the recommendation that Iping gave us.
Right. It's crazy how, I mean, the subtleties, it was such a slight difference to me. It really didn't feel that different, but the numbers are, I'll go from a plus 2.7 to a plus 4.3, and it's pretty drastic. I mean, we're talking this to this, right? So that's just crazy.
Yeah, plus 4.3 is really good. So, yeah, we get a lot of the technical data stuff in the putting lab, and then we could take all of, you know, if we were choosing up to a couple models, take those models out to our outdoor putting green, get you into a kind of a real game life, you know, experience.
Yeah.
Hit some putts that you kind of tend to struggle with. We can tweak lie angle and loft, and then really get it dialed in out there as well.
Great.
All right, well, we kind of just took a deep dive into what seemed to be just like a really small little intro to the putter fitting, but you came from just a standard answer 2 style to something that had a little bit more to get you closer to what you're familiar with in a mallet, right? And I'll let you kind of give us a little bit of a recap on that.
Yeah, so like the answer 2D model is going to be great for you, just because you will like that look of a traditional blade. But because it's a little bit of a wider bodied blade, the CG is a little bit further away from the face, it's a little bit heavier, it's going to play kind of more like a mallet, something that you're used to. So there's a lot of characteristics in that putter that really fits your stroke metrics nicely. And then obviously, you know, preference of you liking something a little bit heavier, and, you know, a little longer line, all those kind of things. It's just going to be a lot more consistent for you, but you're going to get to that type of model you're looking for, of more of a traditional kind of blade shape.
Yeah, no, everything about it, just from the shape and to the results that we saw, it was crazy. It was amazing things that I'm seeing right now. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and you didn't make the leaderboard, but that's okay. You gave it a good run.
I did give
you gave it a really good run. But everything that we just saw right there with how kind of incremental everything was, to me at least speaks the importance of getting fit for your putter. Find the right putter for your game, and make sure you guys visit a Worldwide Golf Shops retail location near you to get fit for your ping putters.